At Guidepost, we're global leaders in confidential investigations, litigation support, asset tracing, financial investigations and business intelligence. Our cases typically involve corporate fraud, high-value litigation, as I say, tracing assets. Our cases will almost always involve the collection, sorting and analysis of vast amounts of data. And this can come from seized evidence, company accounts, forensic data from computers and the like, database inquiries, emails, handwritten notes, reports, the list goes on. Prior to the Anomaly 42 cloud-based solution, most of this examination, sorting and analysis work had to be carried out manually, taking significant time and a lot of expensive human resource. The investigation team would require daily and comprehensive team briefings to ensure that everybody was updated with the current state of the case and where the lines of inquiry were. Most of our senior investigation team are former police officers, highly experienced in major casework. I don't just mean old. At the start of their police careers, they were often hampered because there wasn't enough evidence, there wasn't enough data. However, through their careers, the forensic and investigation technology has come on in massive strides. The rise in the use of smartphones and computers, constantly logging our every action and every move, being one example. The proliferation of CCTV material being another. So by the end of their police careers, and they moved into the corporate world, it was almost that there was too much data. Data now comes from a multitude of sources, both structured and unstructured forms. By structured, I mean database, spreadsheets and the like. By unstructured, I mean handwritten or typed documents. The opportunity for vital pieces of evidence to hide amongst the innocuous data and remain undetected grew and grew, thus increasing the workload of the investigation team. So these days we have big data. What Anomaly 42 has done is to make that smart data. Anomaly 42 has been a total game changer in our ability to speed up the investigation process, increase the accuracy of our work, and generate lines of inquiry considering all of the evidence. So there is no chance now that vital data can go unnoticed or lost in the mass. Since 2012, we've ingested 3 million documents consisting of over 21 million pages across 4 major investigations. Anomaly 42's ability to analyze and link all of the available data against business rules and scenarios, visualize connections, carry out sophisticated searches and generate lines of inquiry, and most important for our business, decrease the time it takes for us to solve a case or recover assets, has proven itself in many of our cases. This drastically has reduced the cost to our clients. We're moving into a time where traditionally lawyers and companies like ours have charged on an hourly basis. Most of our clients want to move away from that and are moving more towards fixed price contracts, so you can see the benefits to them. Also consider the cost it takes to run a court case now. So vital for the clients to be able to arrive at a settlement as early as possible. Most of our cases are multi-jurisdictional. Had a recent case spanning Saudi Arabia, Kenya, the Philippines and the USA. Using Anomaly 42, our investigators and case managers were able to upload evidence remotely, collaborate effectively, have access to the latest data, and save a large proportion of the time to move the investigation on. In another long-running investigation, 4 companies, competitors to Guidepost, had investigated a particular case on and off over a 3-year period. But after 3 years, nobody had actually identified all the major players or where the assets were hidden. We were hired, and very, very quickly, Anomaly 42 was able to look at all the data, and that included, as I say, forensic data, data from mobile phones, computers, file notes, reports, surveillance logs. The list just went on and on. We were able to very, very quickly come up with the vital connections and identify these players, and more importantly, where the assets were being held. This allowed our client to acquire a very beneficial settlement from the other side. You'd imagine that police forces are well ahead of the game on this technology. However, you'd be wrong. I can think of one large UK police force that has a multitude of data systems, none of which talk to each other, none of which can share data. So at Guidepost, we're currently advising on the implementation of Anomaly 42 technology. So just to finish and summarise, the overall business impact of Anomaly 42 has been to save human resources, increase the speed and effectiveness of the team's communications, maximise the effectiveness of the investigation, resolve issues quicker, and I guess most important for Guidepost, Anomaly 42 has allowed us to succeed where other people have failed. Thank you very much.
And so I'd like to invite Dr. Vishal Mallik to come up to the rostrum now. So John was explaining how the application of cloud technology and big data, or smart data, he quite rightly prefers to call it, means that if you're a criminal, or otherwise trying to beat the system, it's now possible to track you down. Another area that is more applies across different industries is how the buildings that we use interact with the way that we work today. And Dr. Mallik will be telling us about the work of performance buildings in that area.
Yeah. Thank you, Phil. I can use this, can I? Oh, brilliant. I have a question for you. Can you answer this question? You're working in an organization. How many people, can anyone here raise their hand and tell me how many people will be in your organization in 5 years' time? You can. Yeah. What about 10 years' time? But that's exactly the lease agreements you're signing, or somebody in your company or your organization is signing for your building. Normally you're signing a minimum 5-year or a 10-year lease. And this is what happens. Normally you have a building and you've all been there, you've been moved around and it gets full, and then a new department or something, and it's now time to move, and you always hire far too much space. So when you move, you have more space than you need. Sooner or later, it's time to move again, I think we all know this. And I don't think, in my case, I've never sat in the same desk for more than a year. I'm always shifted around. And you have a completely inefficient market. And now if you think about it, if you just think that what I've drawn there are not floors in a building, but racks in a server. In the computing and ID industry, we had exactly the same problem, and this whole thing gave birth to data centers and cloud computing, which basically meant virtual machines that everybody could log on with their application, and everyone thought, this machine is for me, and the system sorted it all out. So how can we bring that way of thinking to buildings? And we can, because we can use modern technologies to create a new kind of building, and it's happening today manually. And you've all probably used serviced offices, Regis, you've all used airport lounges, and now what we're trying to do and what's happening, or we're making this more enabled, is just apply cloud technology to virtualize buildings. So does this work here? So what you see on the right is this is the kind of building we're creating, where you have a building, and if you have extra space, just don't keep it and give people extra desks. Reorganize that space and share it, securely. We can get into those details, but just imagine you can totally securely share it with partners, suppliers, startups, and maybe the public, because you're an insurance company and you want your customers to walk right into your building. This means you have a completely different way to use space, and the more buildings like this which occur, and if serviced offices use that as well, you can walk with the same app on your phone as you walk into your building to use your and other space. So this actually completely changes how buildings can be used, and we are now getting customers who are property owners who are now working with us to give lease contracts which have no sign-up time, no termination time. That means you could walk into a building and use it, within a day's notice and quit within a day or a week. And this completely changes how buildings work. And they're doing it because actually they want their buildings full and improve the value of the building, because they've figured out with this, using this, you can actually increase the use of your building. And just to show a little bit of technology, how it's working is most of our buildings today are already enabled. We have security systems, we have lightings, and these are all web enabled, or a little bit of work, they can be web enabled, and then you can just hook them up to a system on the cloud which manages each of these buildings, and voila, you have a building on the cloud. What we have learned is, the infrastructure is there. We are changing, the business model is changing, but what we've learned in working with this solution is the cloud gives people an expectation which actually helps us, because if you're changing how things work, making such a building is quite a challenge, because you have so many disciplines and you don't find them. So what we found is, just like we're used to, services on the cloud, Dropbox or whatever, people expect everything, and this is what's turned out. So we are now saying, don't worry, you don't have to worry about technology. We will offer you these rooms completely as an app on the cloud. So you just have to consider the skinning. So the way we're bringing this to the market is not saying, here's a cloud service, hook up your building. We're going with partners, and we're actually completely providing a complete room as an app. So if you're in Germany, there with our design offices as a partner, we already have this in 5 cities, and our goal would be to put maybe 500 of these rooms to start with, and meeting rooms, and then desks. So you would have a great place to do coaching, learning in a standard way. And if you think about it, it doesn't exist. I don't know last time you saw such a room in your office. And this is just a little indication I want to give you how the cloud applied to buildings is going to completely change how we're going to work. Thank you.
Well, thanks very much. Great story. So now what I'd like to do is to invite our next speaker. We'll go through all of these presentations first, and then we'll be able to take questions. And but I thought that's a wonderful example also of not just offering an application, but packaging it up with the physical delivery as well, so that you're providing a business outcome to your customers rather than just a piece of technology. So now switch again, SmartCom, and Igor Košir is going to tell us about their application, which is in the elderly care field.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon to everybody. I'm really glad that Mr. Mallik was in front of me, because I could use at least 2 or 3 of his slides. We have quite the same idea, but in the other segment. So, elderly assistance service. In the keynote this morning, we heard that there is quite a huge problem within the Europe, at least, with the elderly population, or I would say the baby boom generation, which will come to the retirement in the next couple of years. We know that this is the biggest generation, and we have less resources to serve them better. So what's our here? Sorry. What's our idea behind?
Point to the computer.
Oh, okay, good. So as I said, there are a couple of demographics which shows that we have a severe problem not only in Slovenia but also in Europe in the next couple of decades, I would say. So we thought how to bring technology to this market, and we know that the elderly people, more or less what they use is remote control for TV and the fixed phone line. So cloud, remote control, and fixed line phone, that's somehow something that's not working really well together. Then we thought how to overcome this problem, and we said we have to overcome with the concept. Our idea is to put the proxy in between. So what's the proxy? In Slovenia, we just started to run one service which which is Google for elderly population. It's not titled in this way. This is just for better understanding. So what does it mean? If elderly has a question, he pick up with the phone, not the remote control, but the phone, and he asks the question. We have the operator on the other side, which is typing to the Google and give the elderly people the feedback. So there are many interesting questions which you can find on Google and which are asked by the elderly people. So that's just one example of the proxy, but I will explain a bit further what's our proxy in between. So with the technology, we did it quite invisible because the elderly people, they are very suspicious about the technology, and we try to hide everything in their building. But we need more information from their building, from themselves, in order to help them remotely, to reduce the cost. So that's why we built virtual sensors, platforms, in order to get this data and to send them to the cloud. Once they're in the cloud, we can do very basic service to them, so we know when they have, let's say, one problem, and then we can call or we can come to them and help them on demand. Because now the social system, at least in Slovenia, but I think also around the globe, is working in a way that in the cycle. So in the morning you go to miss that and that, then in the afternoon the social worker goes to the miss that and that, but not on demand. Maybe the miss X needs support at 2 o'clock on Tuesday, not at 1 o'clock. That's why then she has to wait till the next round. Here, with the sensors, with the very good information, you can send it on demand. So you raise the utilization of the people, of the servants, and also especially the quality which you offer to the elderly people. So stakeholders, we were really thinking who we should invite as a proxy. The main proxy is coordinator or call center provider. Why? Because they are used to the phone. Still, television is a bit too far in order to bring everything to the television. So we have a dedicated call center, which should be run to one who really knows this population very good. Then professional institutions like healthcare institution, health visiting service, centers for social services. So those are all the institutions which are already in place, and we should deliver them the information in a way that they can do on demand, not cycling. Then quite tricky part is telecommunication service provider. Because why? Because they don't know this population very well. They are selling them fixed lines and they are earning quite a lot, and they don't want to kill this milk cow. But still they are in problems. Big data is coming to them. They have to invest all the time, and they are searching for some new market. So also elderly market they find quite interesting. Which role to give to them? We can give the role of the main business, but not sales, because they can't do sales to this segment. Who should do the sales? By the investigation we did, elderly people, somehow they trust maybe 20 people, maybe 10. And you have to have as your advocate for the sales one of those 20 or 10 people who they trust, if you want that you can mount one sensor in their house. And they are usually some local clubs of elderly people and so on, some social, more or less social organizations. And this is the right channel to promote this service. So our goal here is to really bring on-demand services with very efficiently, and to rise the quality of the service to the elderly people. And the cloud is proper solution, because within the cloud we can do much better the personalization of the service. Because at the moment, mainly the telecare systems are just like silos. They are not personalized per special individual at home. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So thank you. That's another very different explanation of how cloud technology can actually transform the lives of our elderly citizens. So now our final speaker is Esra Başer from KoçSistem in Turkey. And so I'll let you make your presentation.
Thanks. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to mention about business cloud as a business value. Oops. And now. In today's world, business transformation is indispensable. Why? In all the companies, for all the other sectors, must be more effective, must be more agile, must have competitive advantages, must adopt to mobilizing worlds, also must manage the big data, growing data we have. On the parallel side, complexity is growing, also endless growth continues. This means we have challenge. And despite all this, we have to move with the wave to be a leader in competitive environment. So according to latest research of IBM, CEOs, business leaders, is now focusing more on technology. And today's world, IT is transforming to strategic advantage of the business. Which technologies triggers this change? We can say big data, mobilizing world, and at the center of these trends is cloud. At the center of this cloud is trendy topic. With cloud, we can more speedy, innovative scalability. So we can have the business value at the end of the story. And what KoçSistem does about this? I want to give a few highlights about KoçSistem. It's oriented in Turkey, IT sector. In Turkey, IT sector leader, according to IDC's latest research last year, according to last year's numbers. We have data center in three cities in Turkey: Ankara and Istanbul and Izmir. Also R&D center, innovation center for new solutions. We investigating and continuing R&D activities. About $250 million revenue and about 3,000 servers hosted and managed for the other companies from all other sectors. And I will give some information our cloud journey. We started to data center services in 2000, but in 2006 we started the sharing environment for the companies, and after that, today we have Maximus corporate cloud services, and this is our brand name actually. One of our One of and Maximus portal, maybe I can give about information. This is a cloud management portal for the companies, self-service customer portal, I think, and they can manage their systems all other the properties, we can say. And one of our success story is Biletix, which owned by Ticketmaster company. Biletix is selling tickets, online ticket platform, and all the revenue comes from ticket selling and also advertisements. So availability, scalability, flexibility, and also speed is very important for this company because of the business model, online business model it has, and they use Maximus corporate cloud services of KoçSistem. Especially scalability is too important for them because of the ticket selling according to event can change roughly. For example, a Madonna concert, something like that, needs too much hit on website, but another event cannot be so popular. So there is a huge empty capacity for this company. So cloud is the cloud creates for them a business value, we can say like that. And KoçSistem is a Turkish company, and I'm happy being here. Thank you.